Good afternoon. My name is Scott Thurmond, the Service Chief of Police for the Birmingham Police Department. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce some of our guests with us today. I have Jefferson County Sheriff Mark Petway. I have Jeremy Sheriff with the U.S. Attorney's Office. Will McCombs with the U.S. Attorney's Office. Jonathan Perrell, Chief U.S. Marshal Service. We have Patrick Davis, Special Agent in Charge, Secret Service. I have Carlton Peoples, Special Agent in Charge, FBI. We have Tyler Cunningham, Assistant Special Agent in Charge, ATF. We have the Honorable Mayor Randall Woodfin. We have the Honorable Counselor LaTanya Tate. We have Deputy Chief Rodarius Malden and Deputy Chief Henri Pruitt. We also have some members of our community partners who will lead our hospital-linked violence intervention team. And so we call this meeting today to speak to you all about the gun violence that has devastated our city in the last 24 hours. The last 24 hours we lost 7 community members, and 10 others were injured by gun violence. This is terribly unacceptable. And we have partnered with all of these men and women here today to combat this issue, to combat what has occurred in the last 24 hours, and to let everyone know this is unacceptable and that we will not tolerate this behavior any longer in our city. There are too many families who have been devastated and destroyed because of gun violence in our city. And everyone in this room, to be frank, is just sick and tired of it. And it has to stop today. And we are partnering with everyone else who is here today, but there's one piece that we need. We need the community to assist us in bringing justice to these families, restoring safety to our city and our communities. So we've got a strategy, and our strategy is we've deployed all of our detectives in the Birmingham Police Department to focus on these 2 particular cases to bring justice. And for those who are responsible for those heinous crimes, I want you to know that we will be coming for you with full force. With every piece of law enforcement that we have, we will be coming for you. And to our community members, I just want you to know and understand that we hear you, we're with you, and we're doing everything we can to bring justice to these families and to restore safety and peace to our communities. And we will not stop until that is achieved. I'd also like to thank a number of other people who have helped us in the last 24 hours. The Birmingham Fire Rescue personnel who have worked tirelessly in trying to combat and save these individuals who were injured. The UAB hospital staff and other hospitals. I know Princeton Hospital was involved. Jefferson County Coroner's Office. These incidents not only affect our community, but they also affect our Birmingham Police Department family. Our men and women have worked very hard in the last 24 hours dealing with these situations. When you have a large shooting scale like we did in the last 24 hours, both these incidents, it's very tasking. And so those men and women see that a lot. They have to work through that, but they continue to work hard and serve our community, and they will continue to do that. And I'll defer to Mayor Randall Woodfin to see if he has any comments.
Thank you, Chief. Just a few. One, let me express my sincere appreciation for all the partners you see standing here. It is a Sunday. I can tell you that none of the men and women you see standing here want to be here. But we all either took an oath or have all sworn and committed to making our community safer. And so again, I express my sincere appreciation for them taking time out of their Sundays to be here and stand in solidarity for something that is not only heinous against our community, but how in partnership we are going to tackle and solve for this issue. And so a lot of innocent people were shot and killed yesterday. Many others were wounded. The Birmingham Police Department, as it's been stated, along with our federal partners, have one priority. They have one priority right now, and that is simply to hunt down the people who committed these heinous acts in 2 separate incidents. It has been stated, but it is worth repeating, that these victims, as well as their family members who are left to pick up the pieces, deserve swift justice. Swift justice. The shooters, and I would say the shooter or the shooters, deserve no safe harbor or haven from other community members. They don't deserve it from their own family, their friends, or strangers. No one should provide safe harbor to the people who committed these acts. I think it's also worth mentioning that BPD's investigation, as well as with our partners, is better off with credible information that comes from the community. And so I want to make a public plea to those listening to this press conference. There is a number you can call, 205-254-7777. That is the number to Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers has a process by whatever information you share. It does not have to include your name, your address, or your phone number. You will be protected and you can remain anonymous. But let me define how swift justice works. We, the BPD, the federal partners, and other community partners can move at a very high speed to solve for these cases and bring justice to these families. But it moves faster with community buy-in and community support. So again, I make a public plea that we know someone knows something or saw something. So come forward, give credible information so we can take these shooters off our streets and continue to protect our community. With that, I pass it back to the Birmingham Police Department.
One very important fact I neglected to mention earlier was that both these shootings were targeted. These were not random shootings. And I did make that very clear to everyone here and everyone who's listening. These were not random shootings. Both of these incidents were targeted. So that should make it easier for information to become available to the Birmingham Police Department to bring resolve to our community, to these families. We know 100% there are people who know who's responsible and they know what happened, and we need that information so we can bring justice to these families and restore safety to our community and to our city. Any questions?
Chief, can you tell us, since you know that they were both targeted, what the motive was in each of the two shootings?
I'm really not focused on motive today. I'm focused on the mission of solving both of these crimes. And that's the important part. I think that's what we need to focus on today. That's what this team and I have discussed prior to this, is solving these cases and restoring safety to our city. That's the number one priority. We do know, yes, they were targeted. I can tell you that without getting into the intricacies of both cases. Let's just focus on solving these cases and getting some justice for these families. That's the most important part here today.
Right. You just often talk about people, places,
Right.
and behavior, so I wondered.
I'm not going to get into all that today. That's not the focus of this press conference. The focus of this press conference is all these men and women who are involved in law enforcement, no matter what agency or level of government they work for, have committed to solving these crimes, and that's our mission, and that's what we're going to proceed forward with.
Do you have this level of support for every homicide?
Yes. If we have officers assigned with all of these agencies as task force officers, so they're always a phone call away. I called them 2 hours ago on a Sunday, and they were able to get dressed and get here and said, "I'll be there. What time do you need me?" So just to show the level of support that we have, if they're busy and they really didn't care, they wouldn't be here. Yes.
Can you go into detail about what type of support they'll be supplying the city as they investigate these cases?
Well, I'll tell you this. It's what do you need? It's what do you need. We're willing to assist you in any way, shape, form, or possible with whatever you need and your officers, your detectives need to get this, to make this happen.
Is that manpower, financial resources?
Whatever we need. And they've done it before. They continue to assist us daily. They're here again showing their support, that they're here and part of our community and want the same thing that we all want, which is a safer Birmingham. Yes, ma'am.
The club where the shooting happened last night, is that a official club? Is that just a gathering place?
So it appears to be an event center that was rented out for a party is what it was.
And these two incidents were unrelated to each other? There's no connection?
There's no connection that we have at this point in time.
I
Yes,
know you
sir.
say it was targeted, but for those 10 individuals that were there, were they just caught in the crossfire? Were they random people?
Well, that's one thing we got to look at. Who was the target, or who were the targets? So that's part of the investigation that we will uncover moving forward to help solve those cases.
And are you getting cooperation from the other folks who were there at that event?
We are getting some Crime Stopper tips, but as the mayor said, we always need more. I think BPD, there's been 3 instances that come to mind this year where BPD had pretty critical cases. Information came in quickly. We were with our federal partners and other local law enforcement partners. We would make quick arrests. We can do the same thing in these cases too, if we just get the information that we need. And we've shown that we're willing to work swiftly around the clock if if we just get that community engagement, that community information.
Can you tell us the relationship between the three people, including the 5-year-old killed in the car, what their relationship was?
The child and the female was mother-son, and then the male, we believe, was possibly a boyfriend.
Or of the, and we were talking about this earlier, to confirm, we had a total of, well, we had 4 people killed at the club, and then it went up to 10 injured.
So we have 3 that were shot near Echo Highlands Park that were killed.
No, I'm not, I'm talking about,
I know, I'll get to that.
okay.
Then we had 4 that were killed outside at the event center, and 10 that were injured by gunfire at the event center. So you had 7 that were murdered yesterday, and 10 that were injured by gunfire.
At the event center, so 14 total shot, 4 deceased, is that correct?
Correct.
Were there any other shootings last night? Not related
I
to
believe
shootings?
there was another one outside another area nightclub. Yes.
Does that playhouse?
Yes, down on 2nd Avenue.
Do you know if that was life-threatening or not?
It's not.
Okay, and then of the 10 victims from North Birmingham, did they all show up at the hospital, private vehicle, or?
Some were transported by Birmingham Fire and Rescue. So that's, when you have that many people injured in anything, whether it's a car accident or something like this, it's very tasking on your emergency services, from your 911 call takers to your dispatchers, Birmingham Fire and Rescue personnel, Birmingham Police Department, our local hospitals, for them to get prepared to accept that many patients. That's not something we normally see. So it's very tasking on all levels of emergency response.
What would you say to families, because one of these seems to be a family who's at the park. Would you say anything to families now who might be worried about taking their children out to public parks or going out and worrying about gun violence?
Well, there again, I think it goes back to the targeted piece. And if, was this just someone randomly showing up and shooting people at the park? So no. So if that's not the case,
Can you elaborate on why that shooting was targeted? What maybe led to that being targeted?
that's part of the investigation. So that would hinder our investigation at this point in time.
So do you believe that in the Echo Highlands shooting that they knew each other, the shooter and the victim?
Yes.
It wasn't just an argument between people
No.
who didn't know each other that escalated?
Correct.
Okay.
We've heard in several of these press conferences over recent history from you and the mayor as well, that these things are unacceptable, yet they keep on happening. And I know time and time again, you've told us all the assets you have to put forward on these, and it sounds like you're doing all of that. Is there anything beyond that you can do time after time when we talk?
I think the challenge is how does a law enforcement agency or a city government change the behavior of its citizens, of adults? And I think that's the underlying question. How does a law enforcement agency or a government, which I don't really think is what the people want today in 2024, how do you get them to change the behavior of people who can't resolve conflict, who use a firearm to resolve all their issues? That's difficult. That's very difficult. And so that's the underlying issue here. I'm not going to go into that any farther. The mission is to solve these cases, and we'll just kind of leave that at that. You had a question, sir?
Yes, sir. We're hearing about a vehicle found on fire on Tarrant Huffman Road. Is there any reason to believe that might be connected to either of these shootings?
I don't have any information on that at this point in time.
Last few questions.
Is the 14 shot at the club last night, is that the largest number of people Birmingham has ever had shot in one incident?
I don't know. I mean, I can tell you from my almost 26 years having 7 murdered in a day and 10 injured, I think that's probably the highest that we've ever had in a day. That's probably the most tragic day in my time with the Birmingham Police Department.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.